Hey folks, we're back with another episode of Three Men and an Anime.
Hello.
This was your fault, Eric.
No, you made this decision. This is all
This
on you,
was
dude.
your fault.
No, this is on you. I just laid out the choices. You chose the wrong one.
Teacher, show with an ending.
So, we are talking about Code Geass for Lelouche of the Rebellion Season 2! Which was
You can already
Gav's
tell how much we love it.
choice. If you couldn't hear the air quotes I put there, they're there.
He made the choice. He had other options.
He did.
I held no responsibility.
It is true, we technically did not have to, Gav technically did not have to pick Season 2 of Code Geass to watch. We could have watched something else and Gav could have satiated his curiosity on his own. But where would the fun in that have been? And how could he have not inflicted this level of pain on both me and Eric?
There is no way I am sitting through the entirety of Season 1 with you two saying, well, at least this is not Season 2. At least it's not Season 2. Well, at least this is not Season 2. Oh, by the way, you need to watch Season 2 to find out where the story goes. You think I'm doing that by myself?
I'm gonna go get my bunny cat outfit.
Fuck you, Cube.
So if you're expecting a positive review,
All right, so Season 2 of Code Geass, we're not going to do a blow-by-blow recap of the plot because we're trying to avoid doing that because we bog down in that sometimes.
yeah.
And part of it is because we like talking about what happened in the shows.
Right.
On the plus side, we don't like talking about what happened in this season.
It is very much
convoluted.
Yeah, it is, but it's also very much second verse, same as the first.
Except with more supernatural bullshit.
With more supernatural. The first half is literally like Lelouche's greatest hits.
Oh my god!
Like,
The show literally starts. The season literally starts off with basically. You remember the first episode of last season? It's happening again. Wait, what?
It's that again.
All right, but the one thing we have to talk about plot-wise is the previous season ends on a gigantic cliffhanger.
Yes.
Yep.
With
Zaku and Lelouche pointing guns at each other. One's wearing a dead man switch to a nuke, and Colin's there, and there's Nunnally's been kidnapped, and they're in some sort of like mystic ruin, and cuts to black.
and Lelouch and Suzaku shoot at each other. Fade to black. Start of the new season. Lelouch is back at school, and everything seems to be exactly as it was at the beginning of the series. Except that instead of Nunnally, he's got a brother named Rollo.
Fucking Rollo. Nobody likes Rollo.
Oh, the fucking no, actually no. I'll stop myself there. The writers didn't like Rollo, but somebody at the studio did.
Oh, fuck.
So, looking into this a little bit, the first season, the writers and director pretty much had free reign to go nuts. The second season, because the first season was so popular, now the executives had to get involved. You need to have a little brother character, so the younger kids. What younger kids? No, they have to get. And you need to have more specialized Gundams. It's not a Gundam show. You need to have more specialized Gundams, and they should transform.
Because Bandai will sell model kits for us. Except they didn't. And the ones that you can get are really expensive.
Oh, it's been like a decade more.
Yeah.
So there's no small amount of studio interference here.
So yes, Rollo, it turns out, is So basically, what happened, we find out much later on, is that Suzaku manages to subdue Lelouch, drags him to his dad. His dad uses his Geass power to rewrite Lelouch's memories. And virtually everybody in the school's memories.
It should be noted that this is when we find out that Emperor Chuckles has a Geass.
Yes.
That's his name, by the way, Emperor Chuckles, because he never chuckles.
There are a fair few Geass users in this season, more than the last one.
You don't say.
Yeah.
And each one is at least a unique power, but yeah, it just turns out.
It turns out, yes, every Geass is unique from what we understand. But boy, howdy, there are a lot of Geass users.
Yeah.
Although saying that, they all seem to fuck with the brain one way or the other. Because it's always down to perception, memory.
Someone's entire consciousness is transferring bodies.
That'll do. Yeah.
Precognition.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my
I
god.
mean, it's only a couple of seconds, but it's all you need when you're in the middle of a mech fight.
Yeah. So Lelouch was brainwashed. Nunnally has been taken somewhere.
Disappeared. She's disappeared. It takes us a while to figure out what happened.
Yeah. And Rollo has been installed as Lelouch's watchdog. And Rollo is not his brother, and it turns out he's actually an assassin who's there to, if Lelouch gets his memory back, to kill Lelouch.
Yeah. But because Lelouch had his memories fucked with, Lelouch is there to believe he is his little brother.
Yep.
Yes. So yeah, of course, during the first episode, C2 and the Black Knights show up and give him his memory back. Basically, C2 manages to restore his memory.
And pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of the last season. Only this time it's in a hotel, so it's different.
Yes, and she wasn't in a box beforehand. She was in a nightmare. She was in a nightmare.
But yeah, they're literally the same thing. It's Lelouch is held up in front of a whole bunch of soldiers, except instead of getting the Geass at that moment in time and then ordering them to kill themselves, C2 just basically gives him his memory back, and he goes, "Oh, I remember who I am. You lot die." Oh.
Yeah, she doesn't undo the Geass because he still has all the false memories too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is how he's able to keep up the charade.
Yep.
Charade.
Whatever.
Oh, how pompous am I sounding today?
Both are technically correct.
Yeah.
The best kind of correct.
Kind of correct.
Yeah. So yeah. And from there, Lelouch basically is like, okay, I've got my memory back. I'm back with the Black Knights. Well, sort of. He ends up back with the Black Knights. They're a bunch of them are a little suspicious of him because he buggered off on them during the end of the last season.
Yeah, he basically did up and leave during the climactic battle.
The Black Knights are not sure whether it's because the Britannians announced that they'd killed Zero.
Right.
And so they're like, is this the real Zero or is it a different Zero? And Lelouch is like, does it matter? Well, what do you mean? If I help bring you victory, does it matter whether I'm the original one or not? And they're like, I guess? What?
I guess not. I mean, as long as you do the job, you don't fuck us.
Admittedly.
As badly as you did before.
Admittedly. Now knowing the ending, that's a really good point.
Mm.
They
don't actually call back to it as such, but
there are very few people who actually know who Zero is.
Mm-hmm.
In the season 2. In season 1, the only people who knew who Zero were through most of the season was C2.
Yeah.
In season 2, that is expanded to 2 people. Because Callan knows who it is also.
Yeah, Callan knows.
Yeah. Callan was there on the island. And
Suzaku knows.
Suzaku knows that Lelouch was Zero. He is not certain whether this Zero is Lelouch or not. And a good chunk of the first half of the season is devoted to Lelouch covering his ass to make sure that no one can prove that he's gotten his memory back.
Mm.
And he jumps through a whole bunch of hoops.
Well, I mean, speaking of getting your memory back, they do this whole mess around where they install like lieutenants and characters from the previous series in his school to keep an eye on him. Rollo's not the only one. I forget her name.
Valletta.
Valletta, yeah.
Valletta, she's not a pilot anymore. She's instead an attaché to the Office of Secret Intelligence.
Yeah. So the woman that lost her memory and lived with Ogie for a while, she's now the swim coach at the high school. They do not use this for fan service at all.
Oh lordy, do they use this for fan service?
Yeah.
Of course, they kind of lampshade it a bit. Because she's like, why am I wearing this when everyone else is just wearing school swimsuits?
This
She's
is ridiculous,
wearing.
and I hate this, and I'm angry. I'm going to murder
She's
everyone around
wearing
me.
fucking shoelaces.
Pretty much. It is a pretty fan servicey bikini that she is wearing, shall we say?
To be fair, she is furious that she's wearing.
Oh, I yes, and
I do not doubt.
I do not doubt.
And thankfully, they don't play it up actually with any of the male cast or anything like that. They literally just show her saying this is fucking ridiculous,
Right.
and that's the.
Well, a bunch of the bunch of the school girls are all like, "But you look so good in it," and blah blah blah. It's like, oh my god. At any rate,
Girls, I'm gonna sit you down and I'm gonna talk you through something.
I mean, and within the context of the show, sure, she actually can pull the suit off. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
and at least it was
not
the
like
and
it's
I'll also
ever-
say
yeah.
at least it was the fully adult character who was being that heavily fan serviced.
Yeah, that is a bonus.
I'm
And
actually
it's not like she was
appreciative of
ever
that.
watched the way she dressed before. I mean, did you see what she wore in the Nightmare Frame? It was a leotard and
Yeah.
fishnets.
At any rate, I mean, it's a Clamp series. It's gonna be fan servicey.
Yeah.
It's combat fishnets.
At least most of the younger female characters are not actually. They don't do a lot of fan service with them. Like Nunnally doesn't get it. Doesn't. Thank
Callan
God.
I don't
gets-
even know how you
Callan-
do fan service to Nunnally.
No.
Never mind.
Callan gets a little bit because at one point they stick her in a Britannia.
Oh no
dress.
no. Callan is old enough that is with a certain physical body type that it's not a shock that she gets fan service.
Yeah,
But I'm talking about the
stick her
ones
in
that
those-
look very young and childlike. They do not do fan service with.
Yeah.
No,
this is true.
and that's a blessing. But yeah, like I said, there's one scene where they stick Callan in a proper Britannian, like Victorian style dress.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that's all corsets and tits under your chin.
Yep.
And, yeah.
Callan's got the tits for it, I guess.
Balance a beer on those pretty easily.
Yeah, probably.
Well, let us never speak of it again.
But yeah, so lots of shenanigans involving Lelouch basically trying to win Rollo over to his side so that he can use him and then eventually betray him later for daring to try to replace his sister.
That, and let's be fair, the OSI is a really useful resource to have.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, him taking over OSI is completely practical.
Yeah.
He takes over
Him
OSI,
co-opting Rollo is entirely to screw Rollo over eventually and kill him.
Well, the thing with it is Rollo, like, he was recruited when he was very young.
We should talk about
he's
who and what Rollo is.
Who and what Rollo is, yeah.
Rollo is, as we mentioned, is an assassin. He is a high school-aged assassin.
Probably about 14, 15.
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah. Something
He
like that.
has been working for the Britannian Secret Service since he was a wee little thing. Because he was part of this program that was trying to engineer children into having Geass powers without actually having to make contracts with C2 or V2. And it succeeded with him, sort of. Mostly.
He's got a PB AoE that allows him to stop time. We learned later he basically just freezes people in place.
He freezes their perception of time, so
Yes.
they will literally just stop in place, and as soon as it ends,
It's an
they
incredibly
think, "Oh, time
broken
has
power,
passed."
with one massive drawback, it turns out.
Well, two technically, because he can't stop the world. He can only stop people. You know, if there's like things flying through
But
the air.
that's
he
not the
can't-
real drawback.
No.
The real drawback is his
That's
heart
mechanical.
literally stops while he's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the old thing about having to hold your breath. You know, there's a few characters out there where you hold your breath and time freezes.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's only for as long as you can hold your breath. With this, his heart literally stops beating.
Yeah.
And you can hold your breath a lot longer than you can survive your heart not beating. Let me just say this right now.
I think he gets it to, what did he say, like 40 seconds?
No, not even 40. Like 5. You can do,
Really?
I think if he pushes himself, he can survive 10 seconds. I think.
Oh right, okay.
He just really pushes himself and keeps using it over and over again at the end during his
redemption arc. Fuck him.
His heel
The problem
face.
with Rollo isn't that like he's there to portray. That he's there to portray Lelouche, or that he replaced
Nunnally
or any of that. The problem is that he's just such an obvious pandering character, and you're so desperately you're so clearly supposed to feel bad for him, but you know he's this pandering little shit.
Everything about him is engineered. Everything about his backstory is there engineered to make you go, "Oh, that poor little thing," and feel terrible for him, especially when he finally has his redemption arc.
Yep.
The problem is, Rollo is a sociopath and a psychopath.
Yep.
He's primarily a psychopath.
Like, there's one scene, like, to introduce him. There's one scene where he's talking with Valletta in Spec Ops, and somebody walks in who hasn't got clearance to know about him. And all of a sudden, the guy falls over dead.
Yeah,
Valletta looks around and realizes Rollo froze time and stabbed him through the throat.
Yep.
Without a word. To the point where Valletta has to say, Rollo, you have to stop killing your colleagues.
Yeah. He's a psychopath. Like the first and best solution to any problem is to stab it. And consequences, what are those?
And his interpretation of what is a problem, whoa.
The problem is, he's not only is he been trained as a killer, he's not been trained in anything else.
No.
So the second he finds himself in we've seen it where he literally, like, his missions were, right, that guy over there needs to die. He'd walk up to him for his time, he'd die. That's it. As far as we're aware now, like, this is the first time he's been given an assignment where he has to, like, play a part. And he has no clue how to do that without actually becoming attached to Lelouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does.
Devotedly attached.
And part of it is because Lelouch actually shows him, sympathy and treats him like he's family, and he's being treated like a human being and not a piece of, not a tool. A literal tool.
He stops being a stand-in for Nunnally, and in his own head, he is replacing Nunnally.
Yes.
Lelouch did not have a little sister. He always had a little brother, and it was me, Rollo.
Yep. And again,
of course, Lelouch doing all of this is all about, like, A, keeping Rollo from killing him, B, making his fall all the more cruel, because fuck this guy.
Yes.
That's Lelouch's belief.
Lelouch is... Let us not forget that Lelouch is a terrible person in a lot of ways.
Lelouch is a terrible person.
Lelouch didn't have much of a problem with him per se, other than he's trying to replace Nunnally.
Well, he's not a big fan of the fact that the dude's also just a casual killer.
Yeah, that and the fact that he is a Britannian spy. You know, assassin.
There are a bunch of things he doesn't like about him, but the fact that he's dared to replace Nunnally is the reason he wants to destroy Rollo, not merely have him killed.
Yeah, it wouldn't be personal if it wasn't for that.
Yes. And
Lelouch has never been terribly rational when it comes to Nunnally.
No. Though he is also probably the first person who would probably admit that if you really asked him.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, probably not. Why is that a problem? Because you get a little over the top, Lelouch, when it comes
to... You get a little, get a little bad when that comes up.
See, normally you're merely megalomaniacal.
Yeah, it's when you start laughing we start worrying.
But at any rate, yeah, so there's a lot of, like, him sort of, Rollo. The problem is, there's a lot of things about Rollo that if in the hands of writers who really knew what they were doing and wanted to make this character actually a character you liked, possibly could have been interesting. or at least
Sure.
believably tragic.
But the writers clearly hated Rollo as much as we do.
Yeah, possibly more, probably more, because we weren't the one who were forced to actually write the character. We merely had to watch him. He is insufferable and infuriating, and just doesn't. He is. The other problem is he really just does not feel like he fits into the show.
No, he's clearly been shoehorned in, and the writers do everything other than have Rollo turn to the camera and say, "Fuck you, Takashi, for making me be in this show."
Oh, that's the other point as well. They have mind wiped the entirety of the school as well. So everyone else is Rollo is Lelouch's reclusive little brother. We don't know much about him because he doesn't really come out of his shell.
He's very shy.
He's a quiet boy.
Yeah. Throughout the course of this part of the series, Shirley is slowly getting her memories back. Some of them.
No, she's slowly falling for Lelouch.
But she's having she's getting some memories back, and she did find her old journal.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. She finds her old journal, and she's realizing that she wrote these things. Why would she write these things if she can't remember them?
So it's a question. She's not getting her memories back. She's aware that something's fucky with her memories.
Yes.
Right.
And then Jeremiah shows up again.
So Jeremiah is not dead. He's
Well, he wasn't dead at the end of last season either.
No, he was just being driven to the bottom of the ocean by C2.
C2, right.
And that's never resolved either. They're just there.
Yeah, apparently the two of them got out of it somehow. We don't know how. And it's never told. We're never told how.
So Jeremiah ends up back in the hands of spooky engineer weird guys that cyberized him in the first place. They finish up their modifications. So not only is he a cyborg murder machine in a very dapper outfit, he can also undo any Geass with
he can cancel Geasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is anti-Geass, which is actually normally the whole anti-power thing is sort of a dull trope. It actually, given that it's on an antagonist and it's on Jeremiah,
it's on an antagonist, and it's clearly something that they had been working on all last season and is only realized now.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. It actually kind of works. And honestly, given that they've significantly upped the number of Geass users in season 2, I'm kind of glad there's somebody who can rein them in a little bit.
Yeah.
Or a lot in the case of Jeremiah. So he's basically starts going around town canceling Lelouch's laid Geass people.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't really know what he's looking for. He's just wandering around town, projecting this bubble of anti-Geass and seeing if anybody reacts.
Yep.
Anybody who suddenly the memories or the behaviors change or switch or just something happens.
And he catches Shirley. Well, he hits Shirley, doesn't realize what's happened.
Right. Because he's in a building at the time. It's a fairly big radius he can cast out.
So, yeah, Shirley gets her memory back there and is understandably a bit freaked out.
Yeah. Because she's had 2 major mind-altering Geasses used on her.
Yeah.
Lelouch at one point uses it to cancel her memory of
him.
Because that she found out that he was Zero and that he indirectly murdered her dad, and it was really fucking her up. And he was okay. Kindest thing I could do here is just remove myself from your memory, and that should solve the problem.
Well, also despite all that, she still had fallen in love with him.
Yes,
and that was going to put her in immense danger, and that was something he couldn't live with.
Right.
Because the one thing the people he actually genuinely cares about, he doesn't want getting hurt. That is literally one of the very few things that is actually good about Lelouch. Is he is capable of actually caring about people and wants to protect the people he genuinely cares about. He keeps that list very small.
Most of the people in his class.
He tries to protect the people in his class as a general rule of thumb. But, the people he genuinely is, super, actually really cares about, the list is very short. It's basically for season 1, it's Nunnally, Shirley, and Yuffie. and one of them dies because of him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, if I gotta keep Shirley out of my life because I am a walking danger bomb for her.
I'd actually throw Suzaku and Colin in there. The difference is they're both much better combatants than he is, and he trusts them to take care of themselves.
That's true. Also, he's willing to let... Given that Suzaku's in opposition to him, he's willing to let Suzaku get himself into trouble.
Now he is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. First season, probably not. Now, yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, she gets her memory back. There's some shenanigans happen between her and Suzaku and Lelouch, and Jeremiah's coming after Lelouch, so he and Rollo sort of set up the whole thing. They split up.
I will say, I will give Shirley credit, because she realizes, because she's remembered everything. She knows Lelouch is zero, blah, 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 and everything else.
Yeah.
And she's got the smarts to not actually directly confront anyone about it.
Yes.
Right.
She carries on playing the act, and she knows that Lelouch and Suzaku are in the same place at the same time. And she's like, well, hang on, how does this work right now? And she doesn't actually actively blurt out to anyone or say anything that she remembers or reveal herself. She watches the situation, tries to work out what's going on. At one point, she can't tell if Suzaku and Lelouch are actually working together or they're against each other. She kind of figures it out and realizes when something comes up and Lelouch needs to go do something. She's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go shopping. You guys can do what you want. Actually, Suzuki, do you want to come with me? You can bodyguard me. Oh, Mr. Knight, because he's a knight now.
Well, also she also had called Suzaku out there to talk to him about something. He's like, we haven't actually talked about this yet.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And the whole point that she called him out there is like, so how do you feel about Lelouch? Because I love the dude, and I got to make sure you're on his side.
So eventually, Lelouch confronts Jeremiah and uses a really clever little trap he set up for other reasons to trap Jeremiah and shut off his cybernetics.
Right.
And is gloating over him when Jeremiah basically it reveals that he knows who he is, and etc. And Jeremiah's like, wait, you know who you're Lelouch? You're actually Lelouch from Vibrania, motherfucker! Thank God. And Lelouch is like, wait, what?
Okay. I swear my allegiance to you. What? I was only ever really loyal to Marianne, and she's dead, but you're her direct son. So, yes, I am loyal to you. Fuck the Britannians.
And he's like, wait, seriously? Oh, this is good. This is good. Rock on.
But for what the storytellers give, they must taketh away.
Yeah, because after all this is resolved, Shirley runs into Rollo.
Well, she knows Rollo was never there in the first place.
Yeah, she knows what's going on with Rollo. She's like, oh, well, she's like, I know you're. She doesn't tell Rollo she knows he's not his brother, Lelouch's brother, but she tells him basically she knows who Lelouch is, etc. And she wants to help because she loves Lelouch. And she's okay. She's come to terms with the bad things that he's done that have hurt her. And Rollo looks at the situation, stops time, and kills Shirley.
Because clearly, that she knows that he's zero and that he's got his memories back, and therefore she's a threat. Therefore, she must be killed.
Is it something like she says something on the lines of? I think she presses the Nunnally button.
She mentions Nunnally, yes.
She basically says, we need, we'll try and get all this sorted out and find what happened to Nunnally. As soon as she says Nunnally, the Geass goes off.
Yeah, the thing is that she, as far as she can tell, Lelouch and Rollo are acting like siblings, and they care about it. They clearly care about each other. So she's like, I love Lelouch. He cares about Rollo. I don't care if he's not actually his brother. He's Lelouch's family. All good. Rollo does not understand this concept.
If they're family, then they also are both working together to try to get Nunnally. So I want to help you guys get Nunnally back. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's a problem.
Because he doesn't want to get Nunnally back because that would jeopardize his position with that could theoretically possibly jeopardize his position with Lelouch, which is entirely accurate, it turns out. But
Yeah.
honestly, Lelouch would be happy to kill him before wrestling Nunnally. Let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lelouch is looking for times to kill. Like, it turns out Lelouch is looking for times to kill Rollo where he can do it. The problem is that Rollo can stop time for him. It's like, actually killing Rollo is really hard.
Well, it's also that in certain situations he turns out to be actually really fucking lucky, and or actually kind of useful if he stays alive right now anyway.
Yep. Oh no, totally. The problem is he is a useful tool.
Like, there are literally times where Lelouch has his finger on a detonator that will blow up the suit that Rollo is in, and there is not a damn thing that Rollo's Geass will do about that. But he doesn't, because it's like, okay.
Well, the big one where that happens, someone, right? It's what's her name?
It's V2.
No, it wasn't V2. He was fighting V2.
Yeah.
It was what's her name? God damn it, I forgot her name.
Oh, yeah, Cordelia.
Cordelia shows up out of nowhere and snipes him off of V2, but she's trying to take out V2.
Right.
Because V2 is awful, and everyone's trying to kill V2. Well, almost everyone.
No, everyone's trying to kill B2.
Yeah, she's just opening it with autocannons, and she actually hits Rollo and ends up dislodging him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lelouch like, well, fuck, I can't blow him up and take out V2 now. Because I was totally gonna blow him up. So yeah, yeah. So we get Lelouch's first sort of confrontation with his dad in weird alternate space.
I mean, before that, just to finish off that scene, with the biggest of all puppies getting kicked for the last time. This is again shows the mentality of Rollo and how evidently how we're supposed to fucking empathize with him. He just comes up straight to Lelouch says what happened, and Rollo says, "Oh, I killed her. She was in the way.
She was potentially she remembered who you were, and that was dangerous."
Yep. So I killed her. Aren't I a good brother? He wanted praising for it.
Yep.
Yes, you're a great brother. Well done. I am totally not making
Lelouch,
sure you are dying in pain.
Yes, now Lelouch has a second reason reason number 2 to burn Rollo to the ground. Because, wow, you've replaced Nunnally, and you've killed one of the only people I have chosen to care about. The woman that I actually fell in love with and had to suppress because I know that my existence could get her killed. And it has because of you little shit. I mean, you did the right thing, Rollo.
Did the right thing, and there will be no consequences for you whatsoever. Don't you worry.
Because luckily, Lelouch is also a sociopath, so he can straight face it and just deal with it later.
Lelouch is not a sociopath. He's actually capable of feeling love and emotion and empathy.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
He's just a bastard.
He's just evil.
Sorry, I got too technical.
Lelouch is a complete and utter asshole bastard. And is basically evil.
Yeah.
Like we said in the last episode, in any other show, Lelouch is the villain.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Totally. But he's actually... The thing is that he's not the villain of this piece because there are bigger villains.
There are bigger villains.
I mean, to be fair, at parts in this series, he does become the villain.
Kinda?
Right. But, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yes, no,
yeah,
yes. But that is very much intentionally...
Yeah, yes.
It's very intentional and it serves a greater purpose, a greater good purpose. Because the amount of props I have for Lelouch's actual final plan... Well done, Lelouch.
Like I said, the last few episodes are great.
I will agree with you on the last episode. The second last episode was good. I am less ecstatic about the stuff about most. At any rate, yeah. So the other stuff that's important to talk about that stuff that happened in terms of plot stuff, we find out what Charles is up to. It's stupid.
The big metaphysical gobbledygook thing, and I'm usually a sucker for that, but it's not terribly well done.
So basically, you've got the metaphysical nonsense of Evangelion grafted onto a political drama.
And
like,
the metaphysical nonsense is way less handled way less well than Evangelion does, and I'm not a fan of Evangelion.
Again, I'm convinced it's because they had so much shit they had to jam.
Oh, sure,
with Rollo and other
there's
stuff.
so much stuff that got rammed in here all at once that everything got compressed.
Yeah,
it took them so long. I mean, they'd hinted at it beforehand, like we'd seen Charles on his floating Greek
his weird
temple thing.
Yeah, his weird flying temple.
We'd seen that, but it took until like episode.
The shadow of Jupiter.
Yeah, it took like episode like fucking 12, 14 of this series, like 40 episodes into the overall arc of the story to even hint at what it actually is.
Yeah.
It's not like any of the imagery involved hadn't been used in the first season. Right down to the double helix of writhing bodies.
Which is cool visually, but so basically Chuck's plan is to...
His name is Chuckles. His name is Emperor Chuckles.
I'm going to call him Chuck because I like it better.
Okay. I'm calling him Chuckles because it's less respectful.
Chuck is not particularly respectful here, the way I'm saying it. His plan is...
Okay. Just of it, from the layman's perspective, if I may.
Yep.
Okay. The gist of it that I got was that essentially there is an underworld kind of thing where the psychic consciousness of every living being is connected.
Okay.
And from their own words, human beings are merely reflections of that consciousness under different aspects in the world. Chuck wants to get rid of all the various different aspects and have one connected consciousness.
I think that's right. I'm not 100% sure because they explain it very badly.
They explain it very badly. I got more the impression that there is an overall collective subconscious, sort of a low-grade telepathic field that links everyone all together. And he wants to eliminate the all other entities to compress them into the field, the telepathic field, or giant double helix. All right. He refers to as God.
Yes. So all the metaphysical claptrap he talks about how he wants to do is actually, in my opinion, completely fucking irrelevant. Yeah, what he's trying to accomplish is he's trying to remove people's ability to lie to one another from the world. Yes. He's trying to remove the masks people wear. He's trying to it's not even so much free will as the ability the masks people wear and the people's ability to hide who they truly are and their ability to lie to one another and not tell each other the truth the whole time. And I'm not sure it's so much free will, although that's probably sort of a side effect. But he's basically trying to remove all that and level the playing field across the board and just crush everything down so that everyone is equal. There is no... Because Charles, despite being, building his empire all around, ultimate sort of a meritocracy in theory, although it's very much not. That's his sort of byword. He's very clearly not happy with the way things are because... he looks at because the way he grew up, his family murdered one another constantly for the throne, and he's like, this is fucking stupid. And he and his brother, who's V2 because, stupid, basically agree that they're not going to lie. They will never lie to each other, which V2 breaks almost, within years, within a couple of years, because V2 is a terrible, terrible person.
There's a theme here.
Yeah. And that they were going to create a world where there are no lies. That is Chuck's goal.
See, this is the thing that he's always said. Even from the start, it's he's always had this survival of the fittest mentality, and like Peter's just said, he grew up where his family were backstabbing each other for the throne, and when you think about it, that's what he was doing. He was setting his own kids out to fight for the throne. But the difference is he wanted them to fight for it honestly, up front. Yep. With strength and guts, the kind of thing. But they all reverted for the most part to duplicity and lies and schemes. Schneisel in particular. And you know, when Lelouch confronts him about it, and that's exactly the angle he goes about it. He says, "You coming to me, acting all high and mighty like you're some warrior of justice, and you've been doing nothing but lying to everyone."
And Lelouch's reaction is, "Yes, I have been."
Of course I have been. That's how society works.
And it comes down to basically this really... So basically, the big thing is that Lelouch Charles basically tries to convince Lelouch that this is a good thing. And Lelouch is like, okay, what you're arguing for is you're trying to sort of anchor humanity back in the past and put us in stasis. That's fucking stupid.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another thing that's when it all threw it off for me. Is not only did they say they wanted to combine like the consciousness so people can't lie to each other, but then they start talking about, and this is why I thought it was like some sort of Gestalt.
It kind of is. It's
because they start talking about like being reunited with the dead.
Yeah.
You know, people who haven't been, people who've passed on, people who haven't been born yet, the past, present, the future, all as one.
Yep.
Mass. You know, the dead will be reunited, the future will come to visit. So, you know, well, it's what?
As I said, metaphysical claptrap.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. And the show is better once Chuck is dead.
It really is. But yeah, Lelouch basically said this is fucking stupid. And, you know, basically confronts the Gestalt entity of, you know, human conscience and says, look, I'm not going to try to convince you to do this. You are effectively God. I've just got the power of the king. I'm going to use the power of the king to ask you, God, to not confine humanity to the past and let us actually evolve and move forward. And the conscience of the universe says, yep, Chuck, you're wrong. And Chuck's like, wait, what?
And Chuck and Marianne dissolve into the Aether. By the way, Marianne shows up because she had possessed the body of a little girl and became a Knight of the Round because she was always a good mech pilot and had been like hiding in this little girl's body for like decades, or not decades.
Yes, because when I mentioned the whole ability to transfer consciousness thing, that's Marianne's Geass because she had a Geass too, because, you know, everyone is
because everyone had a fucking Geass.
Yeah, throughout this season we get introduced to the Knights of the Round. Like I think what is it? Suzuka's what Knight of Seven.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the seventh knight.
And the you know, we get all the different ranks. And I think she's the Knight of Four. Is she?
She is.
Or
Yes.
Five? Knight of Four. She's one of the higher ranking knights. She's the one with the like typical thing. She's the little girl, quiet, reserved nature, with the huge hulking deathbot of a nightmare frame.
Yeah.
With the giant fucking wing cannon.
With giant fuck off cannon, right?
Yeah.
Mordred.
Mordred, yeah, and she has
all,
trouble with
all the custom frames used by the Knights of the Round are named after literal Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah. But yeah, her thing is she's always had trouble with her memory. And she has to write things down and check things. She knows things that aren't quite right. And it turns out it's because Marianne's been popping to the surface and saying, I'm driving now.
Yep. Pretty much whenever she feels like it.
Yeah. And so basically Lelouch's whole plan to avenge his mother. No, she pops up and enters this psychic consciousness because she doesn't need the girl's body when she's in the psychic world, because she's a projection of Geass. Because this is basically the Geass world. That's what they refer to it as. And she shows up and she goes, "Oh, actually, no, I'm all with Chuck." What?
Yeah, actually, the whole thing, it was actually V2 who murdered me, and that was that was sort of the final straw for Chuck.
Yeah,
but I managed to.
He murdered me because he didn't like that I was spending so much time around me because, you know, V2 got jealous because reasons.
Because there are no echoes of V2 in Rollo. No, not at all.
Not at all. No.
So yeah, it turns out that his mum wasn't killed by a power-mongering member of the family. it was just pure jealousy, and she was actually, she was right alongside Chuck's plans from the beginning.
Yep.
So by not only fucking up the plans, he actually kills Chuck and also his mom.
Yeah, but at that point, he was actually okay with her ended up being dead because she really wasn't matching up with his memories of his mother.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, he'd come to terms with his memory of his mother anyway.
Yep.
A long time ago, and this was like, wait, what? Nah.
And your plan is stupid.
Yeah.
And you're already dead.
So now, not only have we hit Evangelion, we've also just hit the the midway story arc of Gurren Lagann.
Kind of.
Next.
So at this point, so Lelouch survives. This is all. By the way, this is all after Lelouch has been driven out of the Black Knights.
Yes.
And two things have happened. There's a big confrontation between the Black Knights and Schneisel's Britannian forces. And Schneisel, turns out, with the help of Nina, has developed the equivalent of a nuke. Although, dear God, it is worse than a nuke.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
asterisk. At least there's no fallout.
Yeah.
At least there's no radiation.
On the downside, it is complete, it completely annihilates everything in a sphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is, for all intents and purposes, actually, if you want to look at it from that sort of nihilist perspective, it is the perfect weapon. As long as you calculate the explosive radius, it is a fucking scalpel of a bomb.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It is a vortex grenade. For those of you who are 40K conversant.
Yeah. It's a vortex missile.
It is awful. It is terrifying. And it gets used and kills a whole fuck ton of civilians, and Nina basically has a blue screen of death moment. When she realized...
Oh, we forgot to mention that there's this whole bit where the Black Knights, overthrow China and form the United Nations.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we mentioned it, done, move on.
Yeah, it turns out
honestly, that's being unfair. That's the good stuff that's happening in the first half of the season.
Yes.
Because it is harking back to what was good about the first season, which is the political stuff and the tactical warfare shit. That was good. It's just sadly interwoven with high school bullshit and Rollo.
Yep.
And then we move past that to the metaphysical claptrap.
Yeah.
It's but yeah, so Schneisel eventually arrives in the Black Knights, arrives under flag of truce to talk to the Black Knights. And I would say flag of truce, I mean, A, flag of truce, B, I've got one of these stupid super nuke bombs on my helicarrier, so if you do something to me, it blows up and takes you with me.
Yeah, this is in the middle of the Black Knights invasion of Japan.
Yep.
As
we have
formed official military of the UN.
We have skipped over a very, very, very important point. And it's who's in charge of Tokyo right now?
Oh yeah,
Nunnally.
Nunnally comes back.
So Schneisel had her in his back pocket the entire time. And when it starts to become apparent that Lelouch knows exactly who he is...
Not Schneisel, Chuck.
Is it?
Yep,
it's Chuck.
Oh, it's Chuck. Okay,
Chuck specifically deploys Nunnally to be Viceroy of Japan because it will fuck with Lelouch because fuck you, Lelouch.
Yeah. And so Nunnally is now implanted in there, and this is way earlier in the series, but even Suzaku's trying to use Nunnally to try and trick Lelouch into revealing himself.
Yep.
Trying to get him to talk to her on the phone, and Lelouch has to pretend that he doesn't know who it is. I'm honored to be speaking to the Viceroy. I'm not worthy. And all kinds of just manipulative bullshit with it. And
to be fair, Rollo does help him out in freezing Suzaku, so he can be like, okay, Nunnally, here's the deal. I'm around some bad people. I can't let on that we know each other. So as soon as I say go, play along like this wasn't what was happening.
But yeah, basically the whole thing is they decided to attack Tokyo, not just to capture it, but also to capture Nunnally.
Yep.
No, actually, this is at the point where Nunnally had revealed her actual plan for Japan, which actually completely screwed. Was actually going to. Lelouch had to acknowledge Nunnally's goals right now are in opposition to mine. I want to take over Japan. In order to achieve what my goals are, I have to take over Japan, and I have to defeat Nunnally's forces. Now, I want to take her alive because I don't want her getting hurt. So I'm going to dispatch people I trust to go get her out of the palace, so that she no longer keeps me in check. But I have to invade Japan for political reasons.
Yeah, Nunnally's whole plan is also what gets him and the Black Knights out of Japan and into China for all that craziness.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, the Black Knights are invading Japan. He deploys his secret commando team to go and deal with, to go and snatch Nunnally.
Primarily that's Sayoko and Rollo.
Yeah. Schneisel shows up with full knowledge of who Lelouch is and this whole deal with what Geass is and proof of it for the Black Knights CEOs, and the nuke on his thing, and
let's just say the Black Knights don't take the knowledge of who Lelouch actually is very well, nor the existence of his Geass power.
Yeah.
Well, that's skipping another chunk. Sorry, I don't mean to keep just backtracking, but this one's later when they start using the bombs again, because Callan has.
This is right after the first use of the bomb.
This is right before the first.
No, it's
convoluted.
It's after the first flash goes off, because this is after Lelouch has had his blue screen of death moment, because he's convinced Nunnally is dead, and he's freaked out and hiding in his cabins. This is why the meeting can happen with Schneisel without him being there.
The meeting happens immediately after Suzaku launches the nuke.
Yes.
During the siege of Tokyo.
Yes.
Suzaku, by the way, launches the nuke that kills Nunnally.
Yep. Turns out she's not actually dead, but whatever.
Well, shenanigans are involved.
Yeah, well, it's more the fact of Lelouch radios to Rollo saying, "So you got Nunnally out though, yeah?" No, the bomb went off before we could find her. I wouldn't trust Rollo going after her anyway, but it's like Lelouch is like, "No, you found Nunnally, didn't you?" "No, brother, Nunnally's dead. It's just you and me now, brother." "No, you found Nunnally, didn't you?" He starts absolutely freaking out.
Yep.
Right. So he is wounded in his room, which is the story they give the Black Knights.
And at the same time, C2 has also been memory wiped.
Yes.
Right, because the whole shenanigans with Chuck and
bullshit with Chuck. She goes back to.
Oh, is that? Oh, so fucking convoluted. I can't keep any of this bullshit.
Yeah, and there's a reason I'm just sort of skipping past this stuff, because the actual events don't matter.
No, and I don't mean to keep bouncing back and forth, but there are bits like I say, for a good chunk of it, and Eric mentioned it earlier, Callan isn't involved in a lot of these fights.
Yeah, she got captured during the whole battle in China.
In China, yeah.
Again, it happened. She's gone. She comes back. She gets to kick a lot of ass when she comes back. She kicked some ass before she was captured.
She's fairly influential in she gets a lot of conversation scenes with a couple of the Black Knights. One in particular.
The Knights of the Round.
The Knights of the Round. Sorry. Nunnally gets to bounce off her a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
She talks a bunch with Nunnally, Suzaku, and Gino.
That's him.
And briefly
another character we haven't talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. It's just there's so much to talk about. I don't want to get bogged down in everything.
Yeah. So yeah. Who cares about the convoluted bullshit plot?
The long story short is that Schneisel has provided proof that Zero is Lelouch via Britannia, and that he's got psychic mind control powers. And it is entirely possible that he's used these powers on the Black Knights to make them work for him. The Black Knights
Yes.
do not take this well.
So they boot him.
They were going to kill him.
Yes.
Well, they turned him over. So
That was they were going to execute him.
Yep.
They brought him. They had Callan lead him to the room without her knowing what was going on. Pointed guns at him and were going to execute him right then and there, before Rollo got him out.
Well, it's Callan that saves him first. She stands in front of him and says, "No, what you're doing, this is stupid." Because she knows she's in on the whole thing. She knows and she understands that if she has a chance to explain it to the Black Knights, it'll be fine. But Lelouch, being the overdramatic fucking fop that he is, decides to play the part.
There was no coming back from that at that point.
No,
There was no coming back from that.
he knew that. She didn't. He knew that.
She assumed
Honestly,
that she is. I'm not sure she. I'm not sure she knew it either.
Guys,
Yep.
the whole reason he plays the part is because, despite himself, he's come to care for Colin.
Yep.
The way he cares for the other women in his life.
Yep.
So he plays the part so that
To
she'll
save her
fuck
life.
off and get out of the way of all the guns.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm
totally.
saying, though. She's standing her ground because she thinks she can save him, and so Lelouch goes total Phantom of the Opera.
He goes full
Like-
supervillain. Full supervillain.
Yeah, he's over the top and telling her to, join her plebeian friends, and as she's walking away, she whispers, "Yeah, you need to live." And, she's
And
like,
then
"Wait,
Rollo
what?"
shows up and pulls his ass out.
Yes, this is after he's.
I thought it was an important bit of character development.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, he, despite himself, he did not want to care about Colin the way he has.
He does.
The way he does, but he does.
She is the probably the third or fourth most important woman in his life.
Yeah.
It's basically Nunnally, Shirley. It was Nunnally, Yuffie, Shirley. Yuffie and Shirley are now dead. So
Yeah.
C2, and now Callan. 3 out of the
I
5.
think he cared about her quite a bit for a long time, just didn't realize it.
Yeah, but she wasn't in the she wasn't officially on the list until that moment.
Yeah.
To be fair, how long did it take him to realize and actually admit he had anything for Shirley?
Oh, quite a while.
And she's higher up the list.
Yeah. At any rate, yeah. By the way, before Rollo busts him out, Lucius basically told him exactly what he thinks of him. Lucius was like, "Yeah, look, Rollo, I hate your guts. You're a little toad. You're awful. I've been looking for ways to kill you for nearly a year now."
And you keep on slipping through the cracks. I didn't even know we're there without meaning to. It's infuriating.
Oh, the only sibling I care about right now is Nunnally, and you let her die. So fuck you. And I'm fairly certain you were planning to kill her anyways, because you're a little psychopathic toad.
So everything we've said about Rollo up to this point, even to that point where, even Lelouch has had enough of him and snapped at him. Despite all that, the hero inside, he takes those barbs, he takes those insults, and he still shows love for his bro. Can we just fucking kill him?
So yeah, he busts Lelouch out and overuses his gas power to save Lelouch and dies in the process.
Yep. And we're meant to feel sad. We don't.
I was very happy he was dead.
They gave him the fucking hero's death.
Which,
I mean,
honestly,
going to have it. It was studio mandated.
and the way they did it made us hate him more, which was, I think, actually intentional. But yes, after all of this, all the pieces out of the way, we are now down to the actual confrontation between Lelouch, because Lelouch has now gotten rid of Charles, and he goes to Britannia and declares himself emperor, because he's killed the emperor, and I'm going to use my mind control powers to take control of all of the nobility who are here.
Suzaku, by the way, has joined him full on at this point, because he was there for the whole murdering god and emperor trouble.
And he's gotten to hear exactly, A, what Lelouch is trying to do, B, how awful his Chuck is, and the person he's been working for, and C, it's like, oh my god. Okay, yeah, I'm on your side, Lelouch.
Okay, we're droogs.
Suzuki,
We're droogs like
Suzuki's-
we were always supposed to be. Okay.
See, Suzuku's whole thing, like through season 1 and up to this point, was always, operate within the system. It's fine. Things will work out as long as you follow the rules. And then he got to meet the top of the system and realized, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
He got to see who Chuck really was, and he's like, oh, this is stupid. Oh,
This is dumb.
okay, Lelouch, I'm so sorry. You're right. This is horseshit. It's all gonna burn. And Lelouch comes up with a plan and tells Lelouch tells Suzaku what the plan is. And we don't find out exactly what the plan is until a little bit later. We're told he basically comes up with his first plan. So it comes down to war between Lelouch and
Schneisel.
Well, first off, Lelouch pulls off a really cool bit of. Lelouch basically tries to take over the world diplomatically first.
Right.
He shows up to the whole meeting of the new United Nations, the rest of the world, beyond the sort of democratic thing. And he's like, Britannia would like to join now that he's taken over Britannia. And they're like, okay.
And he has instituted a lot of reforms that has made life better for the
absolutely.
Bretonian.
Yeah, absolutely, because he's, less terrible than his father.
Yeah.
But he's a complete
he
is a
hates
complete
his guts, but whatever.
Well, no they don't. They're mind controlled into loving him.
The ones who aren't hate his guts.
The ruling caste, the nobility, literally, he got them all in a room to, they're all, expecting the return of the Emperor. Lelouch walks out, they're like, what? Who the fuck are you? What? No,
well, I'm Emperor, I killed Chuck, I'm in charge now. This is my personal bodyguard, I'm declaring him Knight of Zero. That's a dumb name.
Me.
No, it's awesome. Geass, you think everything I say is awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the few nobles who aren't probably are pissed at him, but they don't really matter now, do they?
No.
No,
There's talk about having to put down a few rebellions led by nobles that weren't in the room.
Yep, and they lose pretty badly. Schneisel, in the meantime, has basically said, fuck, I'm going to bide my time.
Yeah, Schneisel is fucked off, and he's like, so about that super map when we were developing? I mean, the Flea, I know the other one. The 3-mile tall space station? Yeah. Put a Flea on it. Put all the Fleas on it, and a cannon that shoots them. Are you serious? Yes.
Because I have a plan. So Lelouch basically shows up and tries to have Britannia join the nation, the League of Nations, basically. And it's pointed out they're like, okay, yeah, we need to debate this, and they put him in a little box to prevent him from using his gas on people, and they turn on and say, okay, look, yeah. See, the problem is if Britannia joins, you are the single largest nation on Earth, and due to your population size, Britannia would therefore have at least 50% of the vote, have just over 50% of the votes in the council. So you just take over the world by joining us. So if you're going to join us, you have to limit your votes to, say, 20%?
Or break up Britannia.
Your choice. And Lelouch is like, okay.
I could do that, or I could drop a giant mech in here and just take it over that way. By the way, I dropped a giant mech in here, I'm taking over that way.
Yeah, he's like, well, we tried doing it in a nice way. Suzaku?
Now I'm taking the entire council hostage.
It's a great scene. It's like, all the defense forces and the Black Knights outside are all like, wait, how did he get through? And they're like, he came from directly above us. He went like fucking
really
low
good at his
orbital.
job.
He went like fucking low orbital or some bullshit. Instead of approaching like you normally would, he just dropped from the top straight down. They're like, oh, why didn't we think of that?
Didn't we have air support? We did.
Past tense. This is Suzaku we're talking about.
Well, is Suzaku also in the fucking like the most advanced version of Lancelot as well?
Yep.
The Albion version.
Yep.
Because obviously they've had like a brief moment where they had like
where Rakshasha had the Lancelot and Lloyd had the Gurren, and they make their own things and they switch back, and now that both mechs are that much more better because they've had cross pollination with the two genius engineers.
So yeah, So Lelouch is like, okay, yep, I've taken the council hostage. We're going to do things my way, which is exactly when Schneisel shows up with his flying fortress of doom filled with nuclear missiles.
This giant Art Deco Fortress of Doom.
Fair point.
He gives it a pretty Arthurian name. I can't remember what it's called though.
Not the Albion. I forget what it's called.
Hang on, I'll find it.
Avalon.
No. The station's called Damocles.
That's right.
Because his plan is to fly it up into a certain point in the world where his Flasia cannon can reach anywhere on the planet, thus hanging a sword of Damocles over the planet so that he can basically say, okay, yes, anybody who challenges me at all, I will wipe off the face of the world. I'm going to rule the world through. I'm going to just completely obliterate anything that dares challenge me, and nothing can get up here in time to stop me. Anything that tries to get here, it'll take so long to get here that I will obliterate with the Flasia.
And he actually puts it in. His plan is to put it in high orbit, where nothing else can actually touch him.
Right, because nothing else can get there yet. No one else has the tech for that.
Right.
Because the Nightmare Frames flights things apparently don't work in space. Okay, sure.
Honestly, I can buy that.
I don't. They never explain the tech, so fine. Yeah. It doesn't work in space. I'm okay with that. Totally okay. So we get a big sort of ongoing fight between Lelouch and his Britannian troops that he's taken over, backed up with the council being held hostage on his flagship, the Avalon. Lelouch's flagship is the Avalon.
That's the Avalon, yeah.
Backed up by
Lelouch has Geass all his troopers to be fanatical death troopers.
Yes. Backed up by and he's brought Lloyd and Lloyd, what's her name, and Nina together to come up with an anti-Flasia.
Yeah. He's managed to capture all of them. He's like, okay, I need you guys to come up with an anti-Flasia weapon. And it's like, what do you mean an anti-Flasia? I mean, find a way to make it not work. Okay.
And the thing is, Lloyd and Nina, like Lloyd and his assistant are both like, yeah, that's actually probably a good plan. And Lelouch is actually really worried that Nina will not agree. Nina's like, yes, I am totally down with doing this because, oh my god, I've had my Oppenheimer moment, and you've given me a chance to un-Oppenheimer things. I'm down.
I nuked Tokyo and Pendragon. I've killed millions of people. I need to undo this.
I need to do something.
Yeah, the Britannian capital, Pendragon, gets annihilated.
Yes,
by Schneisel, actually, as a show of force.
Yes,
but it's actually they do comment as well, saying that well, hang on, that's too big, and they realize that Schneisel's found a way to remove the limiters that the Flasia had, so it's like just an absolute monstrous weapon.
Yes, it went from being a tactical nuclear device basically to a strategic nuclear device.
One, yeah.
And this freaks Nina out to no end. So yeah, this comes down to the big final confrontation between Lelouch and Schneisel, and the two brothers who constantly play each other in chess. They're the only people who are even remotely a match for each other intellectually out of their family.
Nina's on the Damocles, by the by. Nina's on the Damocles, and she has control of the Flea.
That's Nunnally.
Nunnally, that's right, not Nina. Sorry, got my end names.
Yes, that's the other point. Yeah.
Nunnally basically said, "Give me control of the Flea. If we're going to be using this in this sort of thing, I want to be the one to do it because I want the sin on my shoulders. Because if you're doing this in my name,
then it will be my hand stained in blood."
And Scheisel's like, okay.
Yeah,
that's politically great for me. Awesome.
Yeah, it's a fantastic political move. Plus, it'll give me an opportunity to fuck with Lelouch.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of shenanigans happen. The big battle goes on, which is generally kind of a cool strategic battle. We're in the bit of the show, the last few episodes of the show now, and this is actually where the show gets good again, actively good again.
Yes.
So, basically, there's a bunch of sort of strategic and tactical sort of posturing, moving back and forth, move, counter move. Lelouch is buying time for Nina for his team to build the anti-Flasia thing. They do, and Lelouch and Suzaku go out personally to use it to stop the Flasia, to get themselves in position to board Damocles, to go take out Schneisel.
Right.
They do stop the Flasia. Schniesel's like, I didn't think that was possible.
Schneisel, by the way, starts using the flare to nuke Lelouch's forces after Lelouch sets off Mount Fuji to take out Schneisel, the Black Knights.
Yes. Oh, the Black Knights are working with Schneisel during this because,
Yeah, because Lelouch has kind of gone like full supervillain in the wake of taking over the world.
Yes.
He's like, wahaha, look at me, I am supervillain. I am Dr. Doom. Gerg.
Right. So he does eventually board. He and Suzaku do manage to get onto
The Damocles.
the Damocles, where they're met by Callan. And so Callan basically starts disabling Lelouch, and Suzaku's like, "No, I'll buy time. You go do the thing you have to do, Lelouch." So we get the final big confrontation between Callan and Suzaku in their nightmare frames, and it is fucking glorious.
Cool.
Yes!
It is so fucking good.
There's a very important thing that gets mentioned during this as well, because up to now, like since at the very least since this whole takeover of Britannia, Suzaku in the Lancelot has been absolutely untouchable. Like even the Knight of One, Charles's own personal knight, who had a power of his own, which literally let him see a couple of seconds in the future, so he could like be the perfect nightmare pilot. Just gets owned because Suzaku starts going too fast for him. Even his power can't keep up with him.
Well, the big thing is he actually figured out a way to basically by flying straight at him. It's like, aha! Yeah. I'll project your trajectory ahead of you, and your trajectory it's just straight at. Fuck.
Yeah.
Also,
who does that? Why would you do that? Oh, that's why you did that.
The other big important thing about Suzaku is that Lelouch back in season 1 gave him the Geass command to live. This turns into becomes Suzaku's biggest weapon. Is that the second he's ever in danger, the Geass kicks in and he physically forced himself to do something that'll let him survive.
Yeah, but he's learned to channel that rather than live and do anything to like escape danger. He forces it into a combat reflex.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I am under orders. I have to live, but I'm not leaving. I'm going to fight.
Yep, he's turned this what he considers a curse into his biggest weapon.
Yep.
And he's also got what's supposedly the most advanced nightmare frame
in Britannia. It turns out the Gurren is better than it now.
Yes.
The Gurren
not
Satan?
by a lot, but enough.
The spelling's different, but yeah, it's the Lancelot Albion versus the Gurren Satan.
Yeah. And it is a beautiful, amazing fight, and basically the two of them are fighting to a complete fucking standstill, and they're both like, "Holy shit!" They're like, "Oh my god, they're good. They're better than I am." Because Callan's like, "My frame is actually technically better than the Lancelot for the first time ever, and he is keeping even with me. He's better than I am," and
Suzaku's like, I'm using all of my tricks. I'm using the Geass. She's just better than me.
Like, I'm using supernatural bullshit, and she's keeping up with me.
Yeah.
She's beating me with technology and raw skill. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, that's the whole shtick. It's like, Callan has a slight technological edge. Suzaku has this bullshit supernatural edge. When it comes down to raw skill,
Colin's better.
It turns out Colin's actually better than him now, and she actually defeats him. Unfortunately,
she loses the Gurren in the process, but she takes him out.
It's a great line where like they both do the whole like standstill, like the fight's really hyper and frenetic, and you see the last shots go in, and they both hit each other, and then both collapse and fall away, and Callan's like, oh, "God damn it, I couldn't get him," and Suzaku's like, "No." You got me. He just shows the Gurren's fist lodged in the fucking cockpit of the
Lancelot.
Of the Lancelot. Yeah. Like this is after they've torn their arms off. All the weapons are gone. It got down to like a fucking fist fight.
They were like martial arts kicking each other. It was beautiful. It was really cool.
I dug it.
Yeah, and so Callan and the Gurren fall off, and Gino, who's on her side now, actually saves her, which is kind of cool, honestly. After Gino Gino's like, I'm helping, oh god, Suzaku wrecked me, fuck. Okay, and holy shit, she's good.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm in love. Like it was pretty clear. Like it's pretty clear at this point that Gino's fallen for her. Like he fell for her ages ago, but it's like he's like, yeah, nope, that's my girl.
the first time, like in season 1, the first time we met, like the first time he met her, it was 3 nights of the round versus her.
Yeah.
And she held her own against 3 of them.
And he's like, okay, she's good. And then he got to meet her, and she's like, okay, she's attractive, she's an incredible pilot, and she's smart and funny. I think I'm actually in love. God damn it, why are we on opposite sides? Jesus fuck. Join us, please!
Until he gets to the point, he's like, no, fine, I'll join you.
Yeah, he basically like, yeah, I'm no longer siding with Britannia. I'm siding with you people. I'm siding with you, Calvin.
Luke is a psychopath.
Yeah, I'm siding with you guys, so want to get a drink?
I mean, he never really overtly flirts with her much, but it's really clear the subtext is
terrified of her.
The subtext is, yeah, I dig you. Like,
yeah,
you give me the chance, I'm there. If you don't, I'm totally cool with that. You rock. You do you.
I think he's just got a natural defense mechanism of not talking to when she's in a combat suit.
Well, he's not stupid. Gino's actually fairly smart. Gino is by far the most likable of the Knights of the Round.
Yes.
Oh, easily, yes. He's intended to be.
Well, yeah.
You're intended like Gino.
It's him and the girl the girl in Mordred, who's also fairly cool.
Yeah.
Well, we meet a couple of the others as well, but they're basically been brought in as background, like the Knight of 9 and the Knight of 8, that we never really met.
Well, yeah, there's Mr. Psychopath, totally not like totally evil slasher killer one, who gets his ass kicked beautifully later on. It's great.
By Callan.
Yes.
By Callan. Oh, it's like, you are such a chump.
Well, the
what
thing
makes
is,
you
like,
think you're cool?
There's one of the knights is basically a full-on masochist. Like he delights in torturing people and there's one bit where he tears open the cockpit of a nightmare and like with one finger of his mech like pushes it through somebody's head.
Yeah.
That's sort of like unnecessary violence. And it's when Callan escapes from her captivity, she finds the Gurren, because this is the part where Lloyd's had it. They captured her and the Gurren, and Lloyd got hold of it and was tinkering it, hoping that Suzaku could handle it. But they actually say, no, we tinkered with it, we kind of went a little bit too far. That no one can pilot that right now. It'd kill you just trying.
Yeah.
And and Callan's like, well, there's my frame. In, out. Hey, this is pretty good. Let's test it out. Annihilates this masochistic fucker.
Sadist, but yes.
Well, sorry, sadist, yeah. Either way, fucking annihilates him.
Oh yeah, she wrecked him.
And it is so satisfying.
And he's doing the whole like, I'm gonna fight you.
He's like, a pretty little thing to tear apart, a butterfly to tear off its wings, and it's like, yeah.
And she's like, you are such a chump.
Yeah.
Just sort of like accidentally murders him and moves on.
Yeah. Bitch slaps him, and it's that point where, like, again, there's like the other knights are like, we remember her.
Oh yeah, he shouldn't have spent time mocking her when she was in prison, should he?
Yeah.
Oh dear. So yeah.
So anyway, back on the Damocles.
Yeah. So first off, Schneider comes up with a plan. He's like, okay, yep, Lelouch is boarded, fine. I'm going to trap the thing so that the remaining players will go off and take Lelouch, and not only, that's a tragedy, but whatever, while I escape in my fighter plane. Ha ha ha, I'm a genius. Oh, Lelouch is calming me. Well, all right, cool. Yeah, we'll have a banter back and forth. Yep, you've got me in check, whatever. But I've got a cunning plan, because the nukes are going to go off here, and, you won't be able to get here in time, and, you're actually in the thing here, and that was recording.
You pulled this trick before, damn it.
I saw you pull this trick.
Nigel didn't know that.
Yeah, he only pulled it once, and only C2 ever saw him pull the trick.
Yeah.
And survived.
It's like, and Lucia's like, yep, and now I'm going to use my Geass on you. You work for me now.
Well,
you work for Zero. You will do everything Zero says.
That's the thing. It's like Lelouch knows how much of a pompous asshole that Schneisel is, so he does. He can set up a decent enough recording just to let Schneisel fucking windbag his way through whatever he wants to say. And he just confront him on the plane, and Schneisel's like, "Oh, fine. I guess you're supposed to. I suppose you're going to order me to kill myself, and and put an end to it." He goes, "Oh no, I've got something much better planned for you," and orders him to obey everything that Zero says. And it's
he pours it. You now serve Zero. Yes. Command.
Yeah. But it's literally the perfect fucking punishment for him. It's like, it's better than killing him.
Yeah. And D-Tard gets shot because he's there. He's joined Snigel, and he's like, "Just finish me off with your Geass." And he's like, "No,
you're not worth it."
That's the word. Yeah, that's the thing. He actually tells D-Tard, "You're not worth the power," and it fucking crushes him. I mean, he's already dying from blood loss, but you can just see his heart tear apart.
He ate a shot in the gut. He's not. No. And no one's going to be helping him, so yeah, he's dying.
So Lelouch basically, and so Lelouch finds out that Nunnally's got control of the Flasias, and he's like, "Oh God, no!" Right, gotta go talk to Nunnally.
During the fight, Nunnally has dropped the Flaya control and is like
feeling around the ground,
on the ground, looking for it, demanding to see it, and she's like desperate to find the thing because she has to find it. She has to stop her crazy brother. She has to be she's the only one that's allowed to do it. She has to take that responsibility. Why can't I just see? And then you see the back of her head turn towards it.
So she picks up she gets a thing. And
she's back in her chair when with the thing when Lelouch shows up.
Yep. And so they talk for a bit, and she reveals that she's broken Chuck's Geass on her. She can see now.
Yeah,
and she basically
see, and she knows everything that's happened.
Yep.
Yeah, so Lelouch figured out as well that he was never actually able to get to Nunnally, but it turns out that Chuck basically made her forget she could see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd been told that at this point.
Yeah. He it wasn't some, I think he calls it psychosomatic.
Nope.
It wasn't like a hysterical blindness or a permanent
reaction to her mum dying or anything like that. No, it was literally Chuck made her forget how to see.
Yep.
She's fucking. That's mind blowing. Because he's an
ass. Because he's a mother. Because he's an ass.
Yeah, that honestly, like what he did to Nunnally was probably the other reason that Lelouch. There was zero chance Lelouch joining him in his plan.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, what you did to Nunnally is unforgivable. So at any rate, she basically says, I'm not going to give you this thing. You're going to have to use your Geass to make me give it to you, and I don't think you will use the Geass on me willingly. And Lelouch is like, fuck, I can't. Oh my God, she's fucking right. And he decides, but he actually decided, she explains to him, like, look, someone's got, because, Schneisel's plan is to make focus the world's hatred onto Damocles' base. So that...
No, that's Nunnally's plan. Schneisel is just going to...
Oh, right, that's right. That's Nunnally's plan. She's like,
Schneisel literally using it just as a sword of Damocles to keep everyone in line.
Right. Nunnally's basically
Nunnally's plan is to make sure everyone hates Damocles so that when it falls, they will be united in joy.
And Lelouch hears this and goes, oh, that's better than my plan was. He's like, I can use that. Brian, yep, I'm using my gas on you now. Nunnally's like, wait, what? Give me the thing. No, I don't want to. Oh, okay, brother. Wait, what? No!
God damn it!
Now I rule the world. So
here's the thing: you've heard references once Chuck's dead to the Zero Requiem, like him and Suzaku talking about it. It's not that's better than his plan. It's his exact plan.
Sort of, yeah. It is basically, yeah. Except, no, it's a little bit. His plan is a little different, and it's not. Yeah, it's there. There's a moment of it in him basically. I actually, you're right. It's him sort of admiring the fact that not only basically saying that reminds him of the plan, his actual plan, and it's a moment of, that's my sister, and she's basically as smart as I am.
So I guess I'm gonna have to, because she's not gonna give it up any more than I would.
Yep. So yeah, give me the thing. So basically, he stages everything, and like he's sort of doing his whole coronation thing, and he's like traveling around the world, sort of celebrating and showing off the fact that he's going to have all the former Black Knights executed now, and Nunnally sort of chained up in front of his throne on this thing. And like you're seeing, like in the background, you see Cordelia and some of the other the free Black Knights and her soldiers are all like, "All right, we got to do something about Lelouch, but like, how the fuck are we going to get to? How are we going to get by Jeremiah to get to him? Fuck." And everything's going on. It's like, but at least Suzaku's not here. Jesus fuck, that would be completely impossible then.
Yeah, because Suzaku died on the Damocles.
Yep. And so you're seeing like Callan sort of looking depressed there, and like as he's going down, like he's sort of it's this wonderful thing, this over the top pomp and circumstance, and then there's this all of a sudden there's this, I forget whether it's a I forget what there's basically bright lights, and all of a sudden on the right at the edge, like at the edge of the hill, a lone figure stands, and it's fucking somebody in Zero's outfit. Now,
yeah.
It should be obvious to everybody who this is.
Well, everybody in the know, the audience.
Yes. It's fucking Suzaku.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, if it's not obvious, he pulls the, like, Suzaku, like, dodgy run spin kick thing several times on his approach.
And so he comes in, dodging through, like, all of the guards. Jeremiah interposes himself and goes to strike low, allowing himself to duck so that Suzaku can leap off his back, because Jeremiah is very clearly in the know.
Yes.
And knows this is part of Lelouch's plan. And Suzaku leaps up, confronts him. Zero leaps up, confronts Lelouch, and kills him. Runs him through with his sword.
Yep. Big
Literally
ceremonial sword that he had been using earlier for shit.
It's like the symbol of office of Britannia, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you see a few people looking at it going, you see Callan going, wait a minute, oh, you motherfuckers. She's very much clearly understands exactly what's going on and why Lelouch didn't tell her. And she's like, oh my god. You bastards.
Like, that can't be Zero. And people are like, that can't be Zero. No, that's Zero. That is absolutely Zero.
Yep.
Well, Colin would know. Of course she knows. and yeah.
Lelouch dies. Slides down the little ramp right in front of Nunnally.
Yep.
And Nunnally realizes exactly what Lelouch has done. It's exactly their plan for Damocles base, except that instead of a thing, it's a person.
And because it's a person, it's that much more personal for everyone.
Yep.
They have and yeah, so probably more effective.
And that's basically where it ends. There's a bit of a coda thing where we get to see sort of flashbacks to flash forwards to various people and what happens to the rest of the cast.
Yep.
Because the Black Knights are all freed. Ogi ends up being Prime Minister of Japan apparently.
Yep.
And marrying Valletta.
And marrying Valletta, because they had a relationship back in when she had her brain fragged back in season 1. They ended up like falling for each other and never really fell out of it with each other, despite
ending up on opposite sides and sort of going murmur.
Sides and trying to kill each other. You know how romance is.
Sounds pretty standard to me.
And just a whole bunch of stuff. Callum gets to go back to school and have a normal life.
Yeah, and be herself.
Yeah.
Which is something she's never really been able to do.
Yep, and her mom's actually out of the hospital and, back at home.
Having obviously gotten herself a pardon.
Yep, and having kicked the refrain habit.
Yeah, and she's not looking like she's not living as a maid or anything like that, because obviously the aristocracy's gone now because Britannia's gone.
Yep.
And it's a happily ever after, basically.
Damocles is sent into the sun.
Yes, and good riddance. Yep. C2 basically, is so C2's deal with Lelouch was basically that the whole thing was that he gets to have all his power, but eventually he has to kill her.
Yeah,
so that she can finally die because she's immortal and is tired of being alive. And
yeah, it turns out the ones that can pass on the Geass are basically immortal. This is we've known this about C2 for a while. She keeps coming back even when she gets killed, and we see a bit of a flashback to her like as a slave girl in the 1600s or some bullshit. And like she runs into this chapel as a child, and is raised by a kindly nun who has the mark of the Geass and was handing out,
made a contract with her. So I'll give you a way to get what that thing that you always wanted, and you'll do something for me at a later date.
And the later date is always right. Kill me.
Yep.
And whoever completes the contract becomes the next.
The Geass has to develop to the point where they can
where they can inherit the code.
Yeah, so this is again is backtracking a bit. This is why Chuck was so hard to get rid of, because he was basically becoming immortal at that time.
He had stolen V2's code.
Yes, he was already immortal, so they couldn't just kill him. They had to undo him.
Yep.
And yeah, so for a portion of it, C2 loses a memory and goes back to being that little slave girl.
Yep.
And she's like a 1600 slave girl offering to, cook, clean, sew, whatever else her master, Lelouch.
I can count to 10.
I'm not so good with words, but I can count to 10.
Yeah, I can't read, but I know my letters. I just can't read. I don't know what noises they make.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, Lelouch had to introduce us to pizza again,
Yeah.
Yeah, you could see how heartbroken Lelouch was by all this, actually. The animation of Lelouch's face during that was actually really well done.
Yeah.
It's like he was just like, oh my god. He was just like, oh, no. You poor thing.
She gets it all back once the resolution with Chuck is done, but...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Marianne gives it back to her.
Yeah. Marianne basically sneaks in her head and basically says, okay, look, C2, get off your duff.
Stop fucking around, just be you.
And she's like, okay, fine.
Fine.
But at the end, you see her riding along in a hay cart, sort of going. It's very clear she's like, well, this was something completely unlike anything else I've seen. I think I can live on for a while longer, and I'm no longer completely bored with life.
Well, that was the whole thing, because the nun that she lived with, literally got to the point where she was begging her in tears to just fucking kill her. She'd had enough, and she got to that point herself.
Yep, she was getting to that point.
We're getting to that point, yeah.
Yeah, and it's very clear that this whole experience with Lelouch had given her a new outlook on things.
Yeah, it's like, holy crap! I thought I had seen everything, but not yet.
Okay.
I guess not. What do you know?
Huh. Go figure. Well, can't make the deal with Lelouch now. He's very dead. Oh, well.
Although they did make a movie.
No, they didn't.
And we're not watching it. At least not now. So, yeah, that's Code Geass. Oh, God. Final thoughts. I'm going to go and I don't know if we want to do how structured. I mean, basically, the first time I watched this ages ago, I didn't like Season 2 as much as I liked Season 1. Except that I thought the ending was actually good, actively good. Which, unlike the ending of Season 1, which is one of the biggest awful cliffhangers we've ever seen. Season 2 was a giant clusterfuck of just stuff being shoved in for no good reason, metaphysical claptrap, some things being rushed, some things that were drug out too long, some awful new characters, some characters that existed in the previous season who were used too much, some characters we loved being shoved off into the sidelines, some good new characters that we didn't talk about because they don't have enough of a role.
Right.
Seriously, the Chinese general dude, that guy's awesome and deserved way more screen time.
Yeah.
Yep. Even the maid.
Sayako, she deserved.
Sayako.
She needed more screen.
She gets fleshed out so much more in this.
Yep. And deserved more screen time than she got, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dear God, the poor Chinese empress, she desperately needed more screen time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's hints of an interesting character there, and they don't use them. They just
Empress,
she's just the damsel in distress, and it's like very clear there's more there that just doesn't get used.
They do that a lot, and I hesitate to say the girl in the box, which they did in season 1 anyway. But they do have a habit of like removing characters, especially the female ones, either to hostage level and or whatever else when they don't have anything for them to do in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They did it with Callan. They didn't need her until the fighting started.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I agree. That was the fact that Callan got shoved into a box for was a crying
literally
shame.
a box.
Like,
Yeah,
oh my
She wasn't
god.
in a cell. She was in a glass box.
Yep. In a pretty dress. For reasons that aren't fully gone into.
Fan service. It was fan
Is
service.
it fan service when it's literally just a pretty dress that happens to have a corset involved?
Yeah, it's a different type of fan
Yeah.
service.
Okay.
Eric. You know those pillows you can buy to help your neck when you're on a flight?
Yeah.
Yeah, that dress made sure that Callan could do that with her tits.
Even ignoring the fan service is not inherently sexualization is the thing.
Okay.
There are different types of fan service. There's a combination of two
All
different
right.
of
Okay, fair enough. This is putting in someone's favorite character in a pretty dress.
Yes.
I gotcha.
Also it was sexualized.
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
I'm sorry. I'm just used to fan service being literally like tits out and yeah.
Yeah. It was
like not even the modesty of the corset.
Yeah.
This was more like damsel in a snow globe kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it wasn't for the last few episodes, like basically the second Schneisel shows up again, like from the moment Lelouch shows up to petition to join the Union, on the show picks up again.
Yes.
And it goes back to being a good show. And there are elements during the first half of the season which are also good, as I mentioned. The stuff in China is actually good.
Yeah.
And
it's just that it's tied up with a bunch of other bullshit.
it just gets woven in with a bunch of stuff that just does not work and drags it down. I really wish that it hadn't been like the nightmare fights hadn't gone from being about like it went from less about strategy tactics to who has the coolest, shiniest, most over the toppiest nightmare frame now.
Yeah,
and
it caught the same problem that Lesser Gundam series gets, which is I've got the much cooler Gundam, therefore I will defeat you with my much cooler Gundam.
And don't get me wrong, these the cool Uptech nightmare frames are fucking cool. Some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like seriously, there's some really cool ones.
Mean.
Yeah, like what Lelouch does with his is just with the druid system and the Uber defense shields, and is like very cool. And there's a great moment where someone, I think C2 pilots it, and is like someone, I think it's C2 is like, no, it's Rollo.
It's Rollo, and he's like, how the
fuck does he do that? He's like, oh my god, Lelouch, my brother is better. That's when he's busting Lelouch out.
Yeah, right.
And he's just like, how the fuck does he do this? Oh my god, he's a genius. Like, I always knew he was smart, but, what?
Yeah, it turns out the shield isn't just a case of shield up, shield down, shield up, shield down. It's calculating frequencies and shield densities and
angles and
angles to not just blunt an attack, but to like deflect as much as it can to maximize the usefulness of the shield, basically.
And you just look at Lucian, and it's one of the few Rollo moments that I actually kind of enjoyed, because seeing Rollo completely out of his depth is a refreshing change of pace.
Yeah.
But like seriously, those last few episodes they keep getting better as they go along, and the final episode is legit great. Like that is, it's one of the best. It is a really good ending to a show that alternates between having some really great promise, some really good stuff, and some absolute dreck shoved into it also.
Yeah.
I want to like season 2 more than I do, and I want to say I like Code Geass as a whole more than I do. But I can't. It's still a worthwhile show to watch. It's got some great stuff to it, some interesting characters, and the ending is great. But the show as a whole is only okay, as in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the first season. I didn't like it as much on reviewing as I did before, but I still really enjoyed it. The second season I disliked considerably more up until the last few episodes. Like, it just really got under my nerves, which is part of the reason why this took so long. None of us really liked the second season.
We honestly started basically counting down how many episodes we had left at one point.
Yeah.
It got tedious.
Yeah.
And that's not like any fault of like any of the people who chose stuff. Like, you know, it's a fault of the show. The show has got some issues, especially in the mid parts. Basically, the middle of season 2 is a slog and a half.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
But it gets better in the second, right at the end.
Yeah. The last few episodes go from good to great in pretty quick order. And yeah, and it's worth watching at least once just for that last episode.
Oh, sure.
Just to see how awesome you can end a series.
It's a good ending. It's not the best ending to an anime I've seen, but it's up there.
It's up there. I wouldn't say it's the best. There are better ones, but this is still pretty damn good.
It's conclusive. I'll say that.
Yeah.
That's all I fucking wanted.
And that's oh my god, after the previous season's cliffhanger, no.
Yeah. I mean, obviously talking about the ending, and yeah, like you say, there is a movie that goes on from that, and Duani's taunting me in the chat. I did kind of expect the bit with C2 at the end where Lelouche pops up about, Dan being immortal's a pain in the ass. But he hadn't got to that point. He hasn't taken her code, but, blah, 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 whatever else. That's fine. Any sort of potential question there is, for this, as far as the season's concerned, it is condensed, it is kept. That's it. The problem with this show, really, is if you pulled it apart, there is a really good 30-episode show in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I mean, this is the thing. I know we always say we're never going to do the longer shows, but we have literally just gone through a 50-episode show.
Yeah, we kind of did.
Season 1 and Season 2, there is no season gap. It is the same story.
There's a reason I was surprised Eric chose Code Geass.
I totally forgot about the cliffhanger.
Yeah,
I completely.
As a general thumb, we try to pick series that if it's more than your usual 26 episode show. If it's broke, there's a season break that at least means the show that season can stand on its own without like real issue.
Yeah, there's a difference between like
Iron-Blooded Orphans is a great counterexample.
Yes.
Season 1 of Iron-Blooded Orphans stands on its own very well, and the end of the season is a solid break point. Yes, it's obvious the story is going to continue from there, but the seasons there's a story for that season. It stands on its own. It doesn't end on a giant cliffhanger that makes you want to like slap somebody.
Yeah, there's literally there is a difference between a tease for the next season and literally not giving you any resolution.
Yeah.
And saying, well, come back next season. It's like, no, you need something.
So I think my next choice is going to be season 1 of One Piece.
I think the first season.
I think actually most seasons of One Piece end more conclusively than Code Geass does, Eric.
I'll need to pick something else.
Look, we've done so far. We've done three seasons of My Hero Academia, and they're all self-contained for the most part.
Yeah. They have solid breakpoints. The season ends at the end of a story arc.
Yep.
Whereas this one literally says, "Come back next year."
I will say, like, the only show, there are shows that are comparable and sort of, but most of them don't really break it into seasons when they cover that much distance. They just say, this is one 50-episode season.
Yes.
Like, technically it was aired over 2 seasons, but we're not going to pretend this is a different season.
It shows like Dragon Ball where it's arcs. It's not about season, it's arcs.
Exactly. This was effectively one story. It was one big story, and it's the first time we've covered something this long.
Yeah.
And it's
I mean,
this is all your fault, Gav. How dare you choose?
Like I said, there's a really decent 30-episode show in here.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't padded to hell. They like we said at the start of season 2, they restarted the show.
Yep.
Which they could have cut all of that out. Not brought as harsh as it may sound. You could have not brought what's
Rollo.
it called? No. Well, you could have left Rollo out. I think Rollo was probably necessary. You could have left Shirley out of it. Her story was done. Her arc was done. You could have moved on without her. You didn't need to drag her back in just to set her up to be killed.
Basically, the thing is there are, as much as I mentioned last in the previous episode, there are several disparate genres that are shoved together in Code Geass.
Yeah.
And it works for the most part in season 1. The problem is that when you're continuing on into season 2, the three major disparate elements, the political mecha show, the high school shenanigans show, and the supernatural weirdness show, it gets drugged down under the weight of all three, and it has to handle all three of them, and that's what stretches it out to 50 episodes.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, even to the point where, because is it Marianne? She graduates and moves on.
No, not Marianne.
Marianne.
The student council president, whose name I can't remember.
Millie Ashford. Millie,
that's it. So Millie graduates and moves on. So she's no longer involved in the high school stuff. But they still keep her involved in the story because she's now a reporter, following the news. Didn't need it.
That didn't bother me. She's just sort of a background news character. That I kind of appreciated that.
Yeah, that didn't bug me at all.
Another angle to something that's already got enough angles.
Honestly, had they phased the high school out and just had those characters in different roles in different parts of the story, just in the background doing stuff like Millie, it would have worked.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remove the high school shenanigans from the story, and oh my god, the pacing improves.
A logical point. The civilian side of it should have been phased out.
Yes.
Yep.
Because of the sort of scenarios that the characters found themselves in.
Yep.
They should not be dealing with any kind of civilian bullshit at that point.
Basically, you pick two.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can keep the civilian thing, but you gotta phase either the political military stuff or the supernatural horseshit out.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Up. Yeah.
And my preference would be for the supernatural bullshit because it fits in less well with the rest of the show.
But I mean, even
especially in season 2.
Even like Rollo, okay, I can understand the need for Rollo, the place he fit, but
I can't.
No. The character itself could have been very interesting. The problem is, and as we've already said, it was quite clear that the character was not the idea of the writers. The writers didn't like the idea of the character, but did it anyway, half-assed. If they'd have removed the psychopathic edge from him and given him the redemption arc, it'd have been fine. If they'd have not given him the redemption arc and given him the weasel's death that he deserved, it'd been fine. But the fact they tried to give us this absolute monster of a character and tried to make us sympathize with him at the same time just didn't work. Again, it's the same thing. Pick one.
Yeah.
What do you want him to be? Do you want him to be a psycho monster, or do you want him to be a hero, or a tragic character? Which do you want?
Pick one of those three, please.
Because you're not doing either right now.
You can basically, again, he's tragic character, tragic hero, heroic brother, and sniveling psychopath. Pick two.
Yeah.
And you really can't combine the sibling psychopath with the tragic hero.
No. Yeah.
You can try, but you're gonna fail. Because
at the end of the day, his heroic death is not doing anything heroic. He's sacrificing himself, because he wants Lelouch's adoration. He wants Lelouch to himself. He hasn't come to any sort of realization about himself or turned around his actions. He will carry on killing people who get between him and Lelouch. Mm-hmm. He's just trying to save Lelouch because he's obsessed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his motivations are entirely self-serving.
Yeah, and if they had not tried to make it feel, things were not being coded to make it feel like it was supposed to be sympathetic, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he's hated because because they expected us to love
Well,
him.
he's also just a garbage character. I mean,
He's a garbage character.
he is not well written.
He was shoehorned in there, and
like I get,
yeah,
I could see character being done in a way that might have been interesting, but it's not just like pick two. It's everything on the character Rollo was executed poorly.
They were trying
it's
to
not
play
even
him
that.
off.
He's shoehorned in there, and huge amounts of space needs to be taken up with telling us about him and what kind of person he is, and giving us a justification as to why he's there now. It was just should not have. A lot of space that could have been spent explaining any other bullshit that they didn't have time to explain properly.
From scene to scene, you're not quite sure whether he's an antagonist, protagonist, a metaphor for the brutality of the Britannian system, the hope of change. They don't know what story he's telling.
God, if he'd actually had an actual character arc.
Yeah. But
again, they'd have had to remove something else from the story to give him one, but...
Yeah,
right.
This is the thing.
They did remove a whole bunch of shit from the story. That's why the metaphysical claptrap seems like such a giant pile of bullshit.
The problem with the
built up for that was spent dealing with fucking Rollo.
Yeah, sure.
If I could make one guess, okay, like I've said, and I've said this a couple of times, but I actually think they had enough written out to last, say, 35 episodes. And then they said, oh shit, but hang on, we've got like 55 episodes to fill. Well, how about we just come up with all this filler?
I could see that, except...
We retread our steps, and then we do this. Ooh, what about if we had this? Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, wait, what if we do this because of that? Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, keep adding things in, Guys, we've only got 55 episodes. We've got enough
but
for
Gav,
like 70 now.
Gav, the thing is, that's all studio-mandated bullshit. That's on their record. That's all studio-mandated bullshit.
Oh, I'm well aware.
To do that. They wanted to continue the story, but the higher-ups forced them to cram all that shit in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like I said, I think what's happened is they got a good story for X amount of time, tried to fill it to cover two seasons, and then had too much stuff to try and cram in and end up going over. Personally. That's why every arc has every plot line has 5 different things going on at the same time.
Yeah. Well,
but either way, it's confused, it's muddled, but when it's bad, it's infuriating. When it's good, it is great.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would agree with that, actually.
But you have to have patience. You have to slog through to get to the good.
And yeah, if you're capable of doing that, it's worth watching. If you are concerned that, like, if they thought of, wow, I have to slog through stuff to get to the good stuff, is something that puts you off, yeah, don't watch it then. I don't blame you.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Really,
I mean, we said in the last episode that this sort of like political, maneuvering and all that kind of stuff. If you're doing the whole 3-episode test, you might not have got through that anyway. And if you didn't get through that, you're sure as hell not going to get through season 2.
Oh Jesus, fuck no.
But if you've got the patience, if you've got the constitution for it,
it's worth watching once.
You are rewarded at the end for your trials.
The end is good. It's worth watching once, in my opinion. I'm not sure it's really worth a rewatch, and if it's not gonna, I will say, like, it is better the first time you watch it than the second time, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Because I was able to.
Less infuriating.
I will say, I didn't like season 1 as much as I liked it the first time I watched it. And I only got through this rewatch because I was watching it with Gav and Eric. And I will say, the first time I watched it, I actually bounced hard off the show at a point during the run. And I mentioned while we're watching it. Yep, this is the episode where I said I'm done for a while, and I eventually came back and rewatched it.
See, Darth Andrea in the chat. I gave this series 5 episodes, and by the end of 5 episodes, I wasn't pulled in and was put off by the level of bullshit.
And that's totally reasonable.
You have not yet begun to see bullshit. Episode 5.
Season 2 is God. And again, I do not blame you. That is a valid opinion, and I don't seriously go if you want mecha with politics and don't want this bullshit. Go watch one of the Gundam series. They will do the politics better usually.
Yep, and they won't have quite so much metaphysical bullshit.
They will have dying child soldiers though.
Oh yeah, there's always that.
Oh, it's a Gundam series. It's part of the deal.
This is the number one message we always have. Okay, our opinions. We're not saying that you have to go and like the show. We're not saying you have to go and hate the show. Make your own opinion.
Absolutely.
There are people out there that don't like Nadesco. They're wrong, but there are people out there. So
and they're entitled to be wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, again, it's all of this. A lot of what we're talking about is subjective. For some of this. There are shows that I think some of the shows we've described as bad. I think we honestly are baffled by the fact there are people who are fans of some of them. We are baffled that there are fans of Killing Bites, for instance. We don't get it.
Well, no, we know why they're fans of Killing Bites. It's Parasite we can't understand.
No, I get part.
I can see why people like Parasite.
I get why people like some parts of Parasite. I don't understand why people like the ending of Parasite.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Because it gets all intellectual at the end.
No, it doesn't.
Speaking as someone who considers himself someone who actually has studied stuff like this a little bit, no.
No, he just starts using bigger words.
Again, Parasite is clearly written by someone who has audited first year philosophy course. And I don't mean they actually took the first year; they audited the class.
Yeah. I read a book.
Oh God, it's like a teenager who's read Nietzsche and hasn't read anything else.
Yeah. And misses the point.
A teenager who's read Nietzsche and Atlas Shrugged, and has formed their political viewpoints around this.
Oh dear.
And missed the point of Nietzsche.
Oh God, yes. What you mean, like Ayn Rand did?
Yeah.
At any rate, yeah, Code Geass. So yeah, but yeah, as always, like seriously, like this is just our takes on the stuff. Sometimes we're like there are some things we're fairly certain we are fairly certain we know we're fairly certain we're right about the quality of it. On the low end of the spectrum, definitively, the Killing Bites is just shite. I mean,
yeah,
it really is.
And I think we're all fairly certain that Madoka Magica is brilliant. Like
it is glorious.
I can understand not liking it just because of you don't like the genre it's put itself into. Like if you can't get by the fact you cannot get by the magical girl framework of it, that's actually a real problem. And I can totally get that.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, part of the reason why I love it is because I didn't like magical girl stuff, and then the show comes along and it's fucking amazing.
But yeah, so that's Code Geass is a mixed bag. Yes. There's some really good stuff in there, and some complete dreck.
I will say, if you like the overdramatic theatricality. And
Lelouche is such a drama queen. It's amazing.
It really is
made of ham.
Put it this way: if you are like a young drama student that's like trying to get into sort of like doing these sort of over the top pantomime or Phantom of the Opera kind of roles, watch this show. Lelouch will teach you everything you need to know.
Like, if you want to be over the top, Lelouch is a example of over the top.
Look at the collar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But at any rate, that's going to do it for our review of Code Geass. We're done with it.
We are done.
Hooray.
So, it's on to my next series selection. And I think we're going to go revisit something. Because all of it's finally out. Finally.
Revisit a series? We haven't been doing that at all lately.
Oh, yeah. No. Honestly, there are a couple of shows that have come out recently that would be fun to go over. But everyone's talked them to death. and I want to talk about something that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about yet. So next show we're gonna be covering is Space Battleship Yamato 2202 Warriors of Love.
Back to the beginning.
Yep. Yes, the subtitle of the show is Warriors of Love.
Oh dear.
Are we sure this isn't a Macross series?
I'm not entirely certain, Eric, having watched half of it. It gets weird, man. It does not. It is okay. I've watched the first half of it, and I liked it overall. But it is very clearly their adaptation of the second season of the original Yamato, the invasion of the Comet Empire.
Right.
There are things that are very different from what I remember of the Comet Empire, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
It gets weird for what I've seen, but it's kind of awesome. So yeah, we're gonna be watching Yamato, and we're gonna be watching the dub of it, I think, because there's several reasons we're doing it, but also because the dub's actually good, and I want to watch a good chunk of this Yamato with the dub, just as a change of pace.
Sure. I am not opposed to dubs. I will honestly watch dubs in fairly often. There are shows I prefer in dubs.
We sat down to watch a small chunk of the first season, one of the episodes, just to get a feel for, so that Eric and Gav could hear the voice acting of the dub in the dub, and they were pleased.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing. I don't know if you've ever mentioned it before. We don't have that whole dub versus sub debate.
No,
we are beyond that. We are grown adults.
Yeah, there are dubs that are good, and there are dubs that are bad.
There are dubs that we will not touch with a stick. Looking at you, Gundam Bill Fighters.
Dude, no. Looking at you, first season of Slayers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Lisa Ortiz does her goddamn best to carry that as Lena, and everyone else is no. Until they replace Zelgadis' voice actor with Crispin Freeman.
Well, that's the thing. The Gundam Bill Fighters try. There's nobody carrying it. It's just in free fall.
As I said, Lisa Ortiz tries to carry, and she's not. And it's early '90s dubbing, so
But the point I was making is typically we will watch the sub just so that we can comment with each other while we're watching and not talk over the
dialogue. Yeah.
The dialogue. But yeah, it's nice to do a.
We've done it every now and then. We've done it a few times. We did it with Black Lagoon, and that was awesome.
Yeah, because the Black Lagoon.
I did it with Bebop, which was awesome.
Well, it's Bebop. We're going to watch the dub of Bebop.
Yep.
Because as much as I do like the original Japanese voice acting cast, oh my god, the dub cast is better.
Yep.
Oh, Darth Andrea, there's 2 dubs of Bill Fighters? I might have to try and see if there is a better one then.
But anyways,
I found was...
Yamato 2202 is our next show. It's my choice because I want to go back and I want to watch space battleships and wave motion guns and stuff and kaboom, fleet battles.
Double barrel wave motion gun.
Yep, that is a thing. You guys get to see the Andromeda in action.
Hooray! Haven't seen that since the 80s.
Yep. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show. And also, just as an aside, if you do have shows you'd like to suggest to us, we're beginning to take those because we're now at the point where we're starting to run out of old shows that we want to watch with our friends.
Yeah, we're kind of hitting the point where we're just going. We're not deliberately going back over like sequel series of things we've already done. It's just that they tend to become relevant. A lot of the shows that we've covered already are getting sequels right now, like One Punch Man, Mob Psycho 100, and various others.
One of us is going to be picking season 2 of Mob Psycho. That it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Because Jesus Christ. It might not be my next choice, but it will be one of my choices if someone else doesn't grab it.
But there are those shows we'd be happy to cover, but they may, just because they're not in immediate memory, they may not really be, coming to mind. So if you wanna throw something at us, then by all means.
We do it. We have a list of the suggestions we've gotten already. We love to add more to it, though.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Leave them in the comments. Email Peter at the Grognard's email address, which is
surlygrognards@yahoo.com, or you can. You could tweet at 3MA podcast.
Yep, the letters, the number 3 MA Podcast.
That is the Twitter handle for the podcast. So tweet at that if you've got suggestions too.
You guys and your weird electronic sorcery.
I know, it's amazing, Eric. I don't actually recommend joining us on it. Twitter is a dark, dark place.
Yeah.
But since we're there already,
you are actually a better being. Believe it or not, you are a better being for not being on Twitter.
I'd agree with that.
I am not surprised by this.
You probably hung on to more of your sanity than I have. At any rate, that's going to do it for tonight, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.